I think this is now the fourth video in 3 days I have made on this massive Lego scandal, but I can't help it. This is one of the crazier stories I think I've ever covered. All of this started over Legos, and is now at a point where Reckless Ben, the guy who was really investigating it and blew the lid off of this, spilled the beans, has now been targeted more times than Cobra Commander by the local police department out there in Utah that is seemingly working in collaboration with Bricks and Minifigs. Part 2 of Reckless Ben's investigation just dropped, and he and his whole group get arrested. He has been targeted multiple times by the police getting arrested, and there is evidence presented on camera that seems to indicate that the police are knowingly engaging in what I think is pretty clearly some barnacles, not to get into the technical terms there, that's some legalese for you, some barnacles, in order to have him silenced because of what he's talking about. And there are some deep-rooted potential connections between Bricks and Minifigs and this local police department that is now, for some reason, going scorched earth on Ben and his entire team. It is absolutely fucking absurd. Arasaka from Cyberpunk is a less corrupt, less evil organization than Bricks and Minifigs, it seems. It's unbelievable. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll give you like the briefest rundown before getting into part 2 here, because this is wild. They literally come in guns blazing on Ben and his team, by the way. Not to get into spoilers. But this all started because I had a voice crack. That's how extreme this is. It's affecting my vocal folds even yapping about it. Ben had been investigating a case of some potentially stolen Legos from Bricks and Minifigs. What happened is an individual named Brian took his father's Lego collection that his father had built up over years of his life. A very valuable collection valued roughly around $200,000 worth of product. He took it to Bricks and Minifigs to sell it to them on consignment, so that way he could take that money to his father, who is in not the best health, and this money was going to be used for very important things in the family. Well, what ended up happening is, when he took it to that shop, Bricks and Minifigs, the owner was pretty much forced out after they had talked about leaving the country, and then corporate stepped in. This is all backed up by oodles of evidence. There is the whole kit and caboodle of evidence confirming this timeline, not the Bricks and Minifigs response of just actual gobbledygook that they keep trying to spit out. And when that owner was forced out and corporate took over, they put up a big stink crossing their arms and refused to give Brian his Lego collection back, which is still his collection. By the very contract that was signed, it is still his collection, but they then said, oh, we don't do consignment. We wipe our asshole with that. We wipe our dirty little ass with consignment papers. That's toilet paper to us. So get out of here. Kick rocks, pussy. So not only could Brian not get his Lego collection back from Bricks and Minifigs, but they didn't pay for it, and they were even marketing it and selling this Lego collection, a collection that they had no legal right to, considering, according to them, they don't even do consignment in the first place. Thus, how could they possibly have this collection? It's not theirs to even be selling. So by all possible interpretations, that sounds like stolen product that they are selling to their customers. So this was a huge investigation from Ben into this corruption. It was unbelievable. I highly recommend you watch his coverage of it. And since then, they keep singing a different tune like, consignment, we don't do that. But then the previous owners came forward showing that as part of their agreement, they do actually sign off on consignment. It is there in plain English that they do accept consignment opportunities given some circumstances. So that's a lie from Bricks and Minifigs, it seems. And they are on camera saying to the previous owner, when you guys leave, when we take over, we are also taking on the consignment liability. All of this is right there out in the open, yet they still refuse to give Brian his father's Lego collection back. And they refuse to pay him for that collection that they have already been selling. How is that not stolen property? So anyway, part 2 has now come out, and again, at the end of part 1, Ben did successfully sue Bricks and Minifigs in small claims court. But in response to that victory, they just shut down the location in order to weasel out of having to pay that. They lost, and now, instead of being held accountable and actually paying what they owe, they shut down the shop. So Reckless Ben in part 2 is now trying to serve the papers for the next lawsuit here. They won in court. He is going through the legal process, which is what, in Bricks and Minifigs' official response, said Ben needed to do. And he has already done that, and they have fought him tooth and nail, and they are now exploiting the legal system to try and silence him, allegedly, based on all of the evidence here. It's fucking terrifying, because in part 2, you're going to see they are using the law like it's their dick. Like they are playing with it constantly. Bricks and minifigs, that is. And the officers are more than happy to just swallow all of this cum from them. They go out there and just start guzzling. They are there and harassing Ben and his team, threatening them constantly, and they do arrest them multiple times. They even go in with guns blazing to his fucking house and dislocate his shoulder, like roughhousing him outside, even though no one put up any kind of fight. It's crazy. Let's get into it.
So I started to file my lawsuit. But right after I filed this court case, it got rejected. And the reason was I failed to demonstrate a good faith effort to resolve the dispute prior to filing. Basically, before this court case can get approved, I have to at least attempt to settle with Josh outside of court first. I tried calling Josh, but I'm blocked.
I'm sorry.
Oh man. Basically, if Josh wants to save the day, I got him a trophy that says, Joshua Johnson saved the day. And we'll give him this trophy, but he has to give the Legos back first. So we started driving to Josh's house.
I had never heard of that, so in order to file this lawsuit, he needed to play in the pig pen with Josh for a little bit here to demonstrate that he tried in good faith to resolve it amicably. So that's exactly what Ben tried to do. He drove out to Josh in order to meet him in person to try and just squash the beef right then and there and get the Legos back so that way it didn't have to go through the legal system here with this lawsuit. Ben has been doing everything above board based on everything that I've seen here. Again, I'm not a fucking lawyer, but it is telling him what he needs to do legally, and he is doing it. Yeah, he's kind of being a little silly about it, like with the trophy, but I mean, that's exactly what Josh deserves. He deserves to be treated like a fucking temper tantrum-riddled child. That's what Josh is. We've heard him on the phone fucking melting down, crashing out, freaking out, sucking his thumb, farting his butt off. Like, this guy super sucks. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with delivering him a little, cheeky trophy about like, oh, he saved the day. Look, you finally did it, Josh. In order to avoid the lawsuit, if Josh is willing to do that. But guess what? Josh isn't that much of a man. He's a little bitch.
This happened. Dude, the police just showed up. What the heck? Why are the police at his house?
Oh, there's another one, dude. 2 cop cars.
My name's Officer Maricourt Police. The reason I stopped you is the stop sign. You just didn't stop that.
I didn't? I thought I stopped.
Yeah, you definitely stopped. You said you ran a stop sign?
Huh?
You said you ran a stop sign?
I didn't see what happened.
Yeah, I was like...
Because we definitely stopped at the stop sign.
Stopped.
Yeah. I was so sure that we stopped at the stop sign that I actually requested all the police footage of this. And as you can see, we didn't even do a rolling stop. We fully stopped at the stop sign. So this is an illegal traffic stop.
Yeah, the corruption kicks off immediately upon Ben even entering the zone here. He's in the fucking PvP-enabled zone now. So Ben gets in the server, and Josh was alerted to it, potentially, from some of the other Bricks and Minifigs associates that knew that Ben was there. So, as they're going to try and, have this peaceful conversation with Josh about this whole thing, as he is required to do by law, as the first steps before filing a lawsuit, Josh has already alerted the police there. So Josh already hunkers down, surrounded by his own private military force here with the Utah Police Department that's protecting him, and they decide to initiate what seems to be an illegal traffic stop here on Ben, saying that he didn't stop at the stop sign, but he requested the footage from the cops on the dash cam. You can see them stop. They stopped. I think it's pretty obvious they were just looking for an excuse to stop them and intimidate them.
So who's Ben?
Me?
Ben? How's Utah?
It's good.
Like it?
We were forced to go home without having this good faith conversation the court requires us to have.
Pretty cool officer. He thinks he's in an action movie or something. Hey, Ben, how's Utah, bud? I don't know why he's acting like that. That's so cringe. But anyway, Ben then explains the reason for being there. He then goes back to the car, and this is all on body cam. He says, give me the ID for Reckless Ben. Everything else he said was a lie. Even though Ben was telling him the true story, they just immediately write it off as a lie, showing pretty clearly that they are already against Ben and his team, trying to get justice for an old man who has been butt-fucked by this massive corporation, and they are trying to do it legally through the legal system that is instructing them to go there and have that conversation with Josh peacefully, but they're not letting him do that, so they had to go home empty-handed because, well, the police weren't going to allow that to happen.
I actually remembered that there's another owner of the store named Brandon Best. Brandon is the guy in the security camera footage that illegally kicked the first owner out of the store so he could steal all their Legos. I tried calling him, but I am also blocked.
I'm sorry.
The only option left is to show up to his house.
Hello. Hey, how's it going? Hello?
So with that now being a dead end, that quest has failed. He still has to demonstrate to the court that in good faith he had a conversation to try and solve it peacefully. So instead, he is now going to one of the other owners, Brandon Best. And Brandon actually does answer the door, but Brandon seems to be in like a fugue state. This guy comes out there like he's fucking possessed. I don't even think he knows what planet he's on. Brandon comes out there like he's confused on what year it is.
Hey, well, I was wondering if you'd be down to pay us for the lawsuit that we won.
It kind of seems like Brandon doesn't want to have this good faith conversation to resolve this problem outside of court. And I gave him plenty of time to speak.
I guess if you don't want to talk, I'll just talk. So you guys told us to take you to court. We went to court and we won. We know you closed down the store to avoid paying us, so we could just sue you guys personally and do the whole thing again. We would obviously win again, But
then the police showed up.
This boggles my mind. So Brandon is swaying over there like a fucking drunken zombie, refusing to say any words at all. He's gone catatonic. And he is still, his company, they've still not paid the lawsuit that they lost. How is that allowed? How is that not a crime against them? How can Ben win this case legally? It's in the system. This isn't like, far-fetched, like nonsense. It's a real legitimate case they won, and they're just not giving the payment that they are supposed to? I just don't know how that's not illegal. So the police do show up. They're immediately on Brandon's side, going after Ben about how Ben's lying about everything, even though it is all in the system. He won. How can they just say, like, nah, we don't feel like paying. In fact, we'll just shut down the store, so how's that taste? This is what we'll pay you with. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. How is that not immediately a crime that they are just dodging this, the responsibility to pay what they are supposed to? They lost. What the fuck kind of sense does this make? How is that allowed? What kind of fucking legal system do they have over there in Utah?
And again, for some reason, they are really trying to protect these criminals.
He didn't steal anything. He inherited the store from somebody
no,
else.
he stole $200,000
How do you know this?
Because I've been spending the last 3 months in the case, and I won in court.
He inherited the store. He's being blamed for everything that the previous owner did, and he's trying to...
Well, that's a lie. So we...
Okay, hold on. I'm still
okay,
talking.
I'm sorry.
The police officers are like brainwashed by Bricks and Minifigs. Are they just all in like Bricks and Minifigs' pockets or something? This makes no sense. Why is she now regurgitating their lies? She doesn't even know what the fuck is going on, so why is she saying it as if she's coming at it from a place of like knowledge on the case? She has no clue. So why is she taking him at his word instead of Ben, who literally has a court victory confirming his side of things? Bricks and Minifigs has nothing. They have nothing. They have their lies. They have their incorrect accounts of things. Ben has actual evidence and proof. So why are the police on Brandon's side? Why? And why is she saying verbatim what they keep saying? This is very odd. Very, very peculiar.
A lie, and we already proved this in court.
If
Okay.
you come back and step foot on this property, you're going to go to jail.
The police gave me a formal trespass notice, which I took a picture of it and sent it to the court as proof I tried to have this good faith conversation, but Brandon didn't want to have it with me. And turns out this was good enough. My court case with Brandon Best got accepted. But my court case with Josh is still going to be rejected until I find a way to have this good faith conversation with him.
So there we go. One of the fetch quests have been completed here. He tried to have the conversation with Brandon. He got trespassed for it, submitted it, they accepted it, but he now still has to try and find a way to do it with Josh.
After some more research, we found out that both Josh and Brandon are super hardcore Mormon.
This becomes extremely relevant information later on as a possible connection between the Bricks and Minifigs goobers here that we are dealing with, as well as the law enforcement, because some of the local law enforcement officers that are constantly trying to have Ben and his team arrested, and actually do get them arrested, actually put them in cuffs and everything, They are also hardcore Mormons, from all of the evidence Ben presents. So is there a chance that they were just trying to protect their own, even knowing that he is doing something highly immoral and possibly very much allegedly, potentially criminal, illegal? Anyway, as Ben is leaving, he and his team are pulled over again by the officers, who are now initiating another traffic stop, and it became pretty clear what the tactic that was being used here from Josh and Brandon was. Since Ben had told Brandon that he is now suing them personally, he's going to go after them personally, it seems like they are desperately trying to find any excuse to have them thrown in the slammer to avoid that. So now we are going to get really familiar with the police department, because they've got them on the leash. Bricks and Minifigs, the puppet master out there, it seems, because they are using the police department willy-nilly out the wazoo, constantly sending them like dogs after Ben and his team. Even though Ben and his team are doing everything legally by the book, as they are supposed to do, as Bricks and Minifigs said they needed to do, by the way. Now they're doing it legally and being fucking stalked, basically, by the police department, wielded by Brandon and Josh.
So,
Yeah, we ended up just driving home, but on our way back, this happened.
What? Pulled over again? For what? How's it going?
How's it going? I'm Officer Hawkins, American Fort Police Department. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Well, what's your name? Are you Ben?
The police apparently got a call that we had heroin on us.
This officer is going to conduct the search of your person because there are illegal substances in the vehicle.
Really?
So he's going to do that. I'm going to put this away, and then we'll be right. Don't reach in your pockets. Okay? Sounds good. Thank you.
After 2 hours of searching the car, obviously they found no drugs.
So you didn't find
I explained to the police that we didn't have drugs, and the reality of the situation is that Bricks and Minifigs is so desperate at this point that they're willing to do anything to get us arrested so they don't have to pay for the property they stole.
Yeah, that's pretty low. These fucking scumbags are now resorting to falsifying these reports to officers. They are maliciously relaying fraudulent information to the officers to try and have Ben and his team arrested. So now Brandon / Josh here is saying that they had heroin in their car, so the police pulled them over and searched for drugs, and of course they didn't find anything. And interestingly enough, this appears to be part of a pattern from Josh Johnson. This seems to be one of his go-to tactics. According to one of the previous owners of the Bricks and Minifigs, where all this started, the Penguinz0, when they were kicked out, when corporate swooped in and, excommunicated them from the Continental, Josh Johnson had apparently been spreading rumors telling people that they, the previous owners, were selling heroin. So Josh really seems to like that lie about, a person I don't like and I want to have arrested. Oh yeah, they have heroin. Oh yeah, they're selling heroin. Apparently this seems to be something he does pretty often. Why is that not a crime? It is a crime, but why is he not being arrested for it? They've now gone through the search. They found nothing. We now know that he was wrong. And we now see that, at least according to one other source here, he has done this at least twice on purpose. That's a crime. Can we get him, maybe held accountable for that shit? It's kind of ridiculous.
They were still not going to let us go until we told them where the drugs were.
your eyes, for example, right? There's a constriction, which is dilated, and then
Do you notice it?
So I haven't been looking at this.
I'll show him. Go ahead and look at him.
I'll look at you.
Yeah.
You do see it?
So
It's crazy. I have no idea, because I've never done any drugs in my life. I don't do drugs. I don't do alcohol. I've never done any of that in my life. I'm willing to do any drug tests.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very cooperative. I don't understand, what you're seeing in my eyes.
I'm gonna have a discussion with this officer.
Oh, they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel here. They're really trying to alt. Oh, it's your eyes. Your eyes. You have heroin eyes. I can see the heroin in your eyes, Buster. But this, hats off to this guy for remaining so calm. He's like, okay, do you see it? This fucking fairy tale. You see it? Hey, look, I'll do any drug test. Let's rip it. And then the officer's like, give me a moment. Give me a second.
And then the police department illegally redacted this conversation too. My guess is that they acknowledge that it's very obvious we don't have drugs on us, but they were going to try and pressure us into giving some type of false confession anyways.
I'm not sure if you're lying to me or not, to be honest.
I'm willing to take any drug test you want.
Walking a very dangerous line, which can get you hemmed up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And you could end up in jail in Utah when you're from Cali.
Okay.
Not worth it, right?
Yeah.
We play differently here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm willing to cooperate with you guys and do anything you want me to because I'm not hiding anything. I can promise you that. I promise.
We weren't giving the police a false confession like they wanted, so eventually I guess they just got tired and let us go.
Oh my god, I love that from the officer. You're walking a real dangerous line here, mister. What, the dangerous line being cooperative? What dangerous line is he walking? He's telling you he will do whatever drug test you want, and you're like, oh, you better be very, very careful saying shit like that. I'm about to take you the fuck down. And then they're even saying we play differently over here. No, it seems like you play stupid. It seems like you play unethical ball, is what it seems like. Because you are being wielded like Josh's personal fleshlight. This is a complete bogus stop here based on false information. Clearly, you know there's no drugs there. There's no probable cause to take it further. Both of these men don't seem to be intoxicated or on any substances at all. It's plain as day. They're being cooperative, and they're still trying to find any excuse to lock them up. Under the directions of Josh, most likely. That's what it seems to be. So yeah, I guess they do play by some different rules over there. Some very corrupt rules, seemingly. This is just totally fucking unacceptable. Every officer you see in this video doing shit like this, I think absolutely needs to be fired. And beyond that, needs to be investigated and potentially thrown in jail themselves. Having corrupt officers like this is extremely dangerous to public safety. And there is overwhelming evidence to showcase at the very least, complete incompetence to the point where that is also dangerous to public safety. It's fucking outrageous.
We'll let you guys go now, but you're walking a thin line. Just be mindful of that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
At this point, I've documented everything I've been through to the court, that I've tried to have this good faith conversation with Josh. He just doesn't want to have it with me. And because of everything I went through, my court case finally got approved.
So now we can go to the next steps here. And I know I keep interrupting a lot, but it's just so much to unpack here. So much corruption, it's unreal. All over Legos. And what is very easily provable, bricks and minifigs being in the wrong. Like, it's unbelievable. But like the officer's in saying, all right, be mindful. Be mindful of what? Driving and doing nothing wrong? Because that's what they were doing. Be mindful of what? Some psychopath lunatic calling in a false report to have the police scoot in sideways on you? That's completely out of his control. You can't be mindful of that. You have a maniac on the loose over there named Josh.
And attached to this email are court papers to serve Josh. The only problem is Josh is not going to open this door for anyone. So I made this poster that says, I stole a dying man's life savings, and printed it out. Now I'm placing this poster in a public space right across the street from Josh's house. Yeah, it turns out I have a process server to serve him his court papers. But almost immediately, my sign got blocked.
Oh no, he's blocking our sign.
As you can imagine, this is where it really pops off. So he now has the court papers to serve Josh, but he has to serve Josh. So he gets a process server out there. He tries to get Josh to come outside to, take down the sign. It is on public property. He is 100% within his right to put that sign there. But once again, protecting Josh, here comes the goof troop. They're now blocking the sign, and they're about to go have some very stern conversations with Ben, and things are going to only continue to escalate.
What are you guys doing here? So we are in a court case with them, and we have to serve them legal papers.
The police realize that we're not breaking any laws, and they've been called here for a false reason, so they decided to leave. And then we got the police called on us again.
Hello? Yeah, the court requires us to come in person for some reason, so...
Again, the cops realized that we are doing nothing illegal and decided to leave. Now it's time to serve Josh his court papers. But we got the police called on us again.
Hello? Yep, can I see those papers? Yeah.
I just don't understand how Josh is allowed to do this. Why is this not punishable? They have come out 3 times now, and they keep recognizing that there is nothing illegal going on here, and Josh keeps calling them out. There is very clearly a deep personal connection here. And you're going to see in a moment, it might be because they are Mormons, and they are, very tight-knit here. But Josh is able to just use the circus here, borrow the clowns, and keep sending them at Ben, but they don't have any, like, legal mustard to throw him in jail over. So now, in a last-ditch Hail Mary, he's coming to check the papers to see if the papers are fake, to get him on that. Like, these are fake papers, give me it, you're going to jail, that kind of thing. But he's about to find out they're not fake. He is doing everything lawfully and legally. He has to try and serve these papers. Josh just won't play ball with him. And I guess they all play different ball over there, because now the police are also actively trying to prevent that from happening too. They're standing in the way of justice. They are actively preventing the legal system from working.
He could even just serve the papers for me.
You okay if I give these papers to him?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, just give me 1 minute.
Okay, thank you.
Sadly, we can't see the police officer serve Josh because the police department redacted all of it. But the only thing that really matters is that Josh is getting served.
He does not want the paper. So
He does not want the papers?
here's that back for you.
What a surprise. How is that allowed? Hey, so he's serving you these papers, part of the legal process, an integral part of the legal process. Oh, you don't want them? Oh my God, I'm so sorry to bother you, Josh. Do you want me to fondle your balls, by the way, real quick? Okay, all right, let me do that real quick. Okay, I'm gonna go take these back over there to Ben now, all right? I didn't mean to bother you. I understand you don't want them. I'm sorry. I'll just go ahead and continue to impede the legal system. Thank you so much, Josh. I love you, brother. Group hug in the shower tonight? Thoughts? All right, sorry. I'll go ahead and scram. Let me go ahead and bring these back over there to ensure that they don't get served to you as is lawfully required by the legal system. Have a good day, Josh.
Papers.
Not sure what this is. I've never seen something like that. It doesn't look good when you've been trespassed.
Yeah.
Trying to serve papers.
Well, I think it looks exactly how we're supposed to do it legally. This is the legal way to do it.
I always thought that the police were supposed to remain unbiased, and if they were going to take a side, they definitely shouldn't take the side of the criminal. But I guess I was wrong. We got the police called on us again.
Oh, sure. The
For
paper? The serving paper?
Yeah.
Trying to speak with someone to verify if a case is, just verify if a case is real.
Yeah, looks like a real small claims case in our court.
Okay, thank you for your help. That's all for today. Thank you.
So after bringing the papers back, after refusing to serve it to Josh because he said, nuh-uh, the officer then gets like really accusatory with him, saying, this is bogus paper, this is stupid paper, you got dumb paper, watch out, bud. And then they leave. Then the cops get called on him again. This time he directly takes the papers because he's going to try and find out if they're real or not definitively. He definitively gets a hard, yes, those are real, it is legitimate. And you would think at that point it'd be smooth sailing, like, okay, this is all real. Everything Ben's saying seems to be truthful. That's not how this goes.
I think this phone call was the breaking point for the police.
Oh, he's rubbing his chin.
The police couldn't handle the fact that I was right and they were wrong.
Okay.
Okay, we're find you back.
Am I being arrested?
You're under arrest right now.
Really?
I was confused on what I was being arrested for. I mean, the same police officers that arrested me gave me permission to do exactly what I was doing.
You can film from the sidewalk wherever it's public, right? But you can't go on that property. If you do, you'll be charged, okay?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
I got arrested for just doing what the police told me to do.
Not only doing what the police told him to do, by the way, what the legal system instructs him to do. He has to serve those fucking papers. He won in small claims court. They didn't pay. Now he's suing them personally, and to do that, as he's already been accepted and did everything by the legal process, has to serve the next phase of papers, and the cops have come out fucking 4 times. The goof troop keeps rolling in here, and now after they have gotten definitive proof that this is all real and Ben is telling the truth, they then just arrest him for it. Oh, you've got some nerve coming around Utah telling the truth, Ben. Like, what the fuck is this? This is actual insanity. So that's where the potential connection comes into play. So all the officers are apparently pretty hardcore Mormons, as well as our main assholes here from Bricks and Minifigs. So that would explain why these officers are so cooperative with Josh in particular, even though they keep getting routine calls out there for nothing. And even though they definitely got a false report and acted on fraudulent information and still keep doing it for Josh, it seems. So I think that's probably correct. I think Brian's right. I think it is because they are all part of this Mormon community that is just looking to protect each other. So instead of holding someone accountable like Josh, who is engaging very clearly in some extremely immoral shit and potentially criminal shit, potentially he's doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I think there is overwhelming evidence to suggest there is definitely something very fishy afoot at the very least, and still refusing to give back those Legos to Brian, which, again, by his own company's admission, they shouldn't even have in the first place if they don't do consignment. Thus, they have no legal right to that inventory, and they are selling what is, by textbook definition, stolen property. All of this is something not even being considered by the law enforcement, despite Brian proving in court, winning his case, that he is the one being truthful, that his account of things is accurate, that the evidence is on Brian's side, not Bricks and Minifig's side. No matter what, though, it doesn't matter to the police department here, it seems, because they'd rather just protect Josh because they're Mormons. That appears to be what's going on. That's the only possible explanation for why they're going so hard against Ben, and this isn't even the hardest they go. He gets arrested here, and he does get out on bail. He gets arrested off absolute nothingness, just complete fucking barnacles. And they still aren't done with him. They still aren't finished with him. They are actually trying to just ruin his life and throw him in jail forever for the crime of reporting the truth and trying to get justice. He is going through all of the proper legal channels, doing it the right way, and even following all of the orders from the police and still getting this unfair treatment. So yeah, it probably is because they are in this tight-knit community here, and they just want to keep protecting each other instead of holding them accountable, like Josh or Brandon or something. And it's fucking gross. So they are putting that above their duty of protecting the public and enforcing the law and getting the bad guys in jail. Instead, they're getting the good guys thrown in jail here.
Out of jail now?
And this is when it really hit me that the justice system has decided to protect these criminals. So now there's really only one way I can think of to get this family the money back that got stolen from them, which is a GoFundMe. Time to promote it, to start getting donations. We printed out the GoFundMe's picture to hang it up so we could get a nice Instagram video to post to social media. But before the group could even hang the picture up, the police came.
What you guys up to?
Bro, the fucking police department must be headquartered in Josh's house or something. Like, holy shit. He must have like an underground facility of just these clone troopers from the Utah Police Department. They are just spawn camping. They literally live in fucking Josh's house, I guess, just for the sole purpose of trying to arrest Ben and his team for trying to get justice.
We're starting a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're going to get a bunch of publicity to get basically all this money back for this family.
Into some defamation stuff.
Again, the police were thinking of any technicality they could think of to protect their Mormon friend.
Look at your stalking code. See if it's that. If it's not, we're going to look at disorderly. If it's not disorderly, then we're going to look at the city ordinance.
But after going through every law they could think of, it turns out that hanging this sign on a fence and then taking a picture of it for Instagram is not illegal. In fact, what the group is doing is actually protected under the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So one of the police officers let the group know that they were okay to keep doing this.
Right now, I don't think you guys break the law.
But this other police officer wasn't able to accept this reality.
We're going to take it down.
I love that. One officer's like, all right, so you guys aren't breaking the law, and the other guy's like, dagnabbit, and takes it down and throws it in the cruiser. So you can see them literally salivating and trying to really grasp at straws for any possible way of perverting the law to suit their puppet master's instructions, allegedly, to have them arrested. So they are doing everything they can to find some way, some excuse to arrest them, even though what they're doing isn't illegal. And the officers even said that on his body cam, by the way.
I can actually hear what they're saying here.
He sees it or give it back? Is it an occasional crime? Is it disorderly conduct? Why? Is he upset about it? I mean, I guess, but that's not.
Yeah, this police officer is right. Just because this might make Josh upset does not make this poster illegal. So I decided to let the police department know that some of the redactions they made aren't exactly what they're claiming they are.
Redaction was.
Okay, well, that didn't happen.
That definitely didn't happen.
No, I don't do that, Ben. I follow the Utah State Code, like I just said.
Right here, the police are actually admitting to themselves that none of this is illegal, but they're still going to try to arrest us anyways. It seems like the only reason they're getting rid of this audio is to protect the police officers from getting fired. I don't know what the police officers are saying in this next clip, but I'm pretty sure they're scheming up a way to get the group arrested, because this is what happens next.
And Lieutenant Adamson can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to seize your phone right now.
Don't. Do not do that. You understand me? Right now you're attempting to destroy evidence. Okay? Put your hands behind your back.
So Ben was able to sync up some of the redactions here and actually find some of what they were saying, and it does appear that they are saying, like, yeah, not really a crime, but then they still do find a way to weasel out some kind of excuse for an arrest, and that's exactly what they do. So, and he also reports it, by the way, and the lady says, that didn't happen. Nope, we don't do that, Ben. I don't do that. Didn't happen. Even though you can watch and hear it, but whatever, I guess. So yeah, now they start arresting him, and as he's giving him his phone, he goes to lock it, and Officer Goofball here, in his tactical glasses, hits him with a, don't do that. I thought he was about to draw his weapon on him. All because the guy had the gall to try and lock his phone. Which is like a normal habit, by the way. Anytime I see my phone's unlocked, I lock it too. Every human being on the planet does. So just going to lock his phone, super normal. That's not destroying evidence. Also, they don't have any legal ground to stand on for how that could be destroying evidence. They don't even have a warrant to search it or anything. So he did nothing wrong, but the officer instantly springs into like combat mode there over it.
I was just locking my phone.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to the police officer's body cam POV so we can dissect what just happened. First, the police officer asks if he can confiscate Sheldon's phone, so Sheldon says, okay, and reaches in his pocket to give it to him. But at this point, Sheldon sees that his phone is unlocked, and at this moment, he decided that before giving it to the police officer, he was going to lock his phone, which is totally legal. There's no search warrant, so Sheldon is legally allowed to lock his phone. But as the police officer saw Sheldon's thumb moving towards that lock button, he snatched it out of his hands. And now the police officer's claiming that because he tried to lock his phone, he's destroying evidence.
Silence.
Yeah, I was giving it to you.
Stop talking.
I was
Stop
giving
talking,
it to you.
Okay?
Let him have the phone. I wasn't trying to delete anything. In fact, it is actually impossible to delete something from an iPhone from a locked screen by hitting the power button. So in no context could I have been trying to erase something by hitting one button on my phone. Now I'm sure you have a phone as well. When you hit the power button, that doesn't delete anything, does it?
I imagine it wouldn't, yeah.
Yes, that's all I did.
Another arrest in the books for these fucking corrupt weenies over there. This is outrageous. So now he has to defend himself about like the claims of destroying or obstructing evidence for locking his phone, which, again, everyone does that, and he's legally within his right to do so. They don't have a search warrant for it. But they're trying to bully him. They're trying to scare him. That has been their tactics this entire time. But they don't have anything on him, yet here he is, arrested for nothing. Even though, on body cam, we can even see them say, not really breaking any laws. So why is he here? Food for thought. That's a little interesting, huh?
I literally couldn't have imagined a worse ending for this video. But I had no clue that it was about to get way worse.
American Park Police Department, make yourself known.
Search warrant. Stand up.
Step outside, everybody. Come on.
No. Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Okay?
Yeah, this cop pulled my arm so far back, it dislocated my shoulder. He claims it's because I was attempting to make an escape or something.
Don't move like that. You understand me? Don't move like that. Don't move quick. Everybody just chill.
But if we go back a little bit, you can see I was being completely still when he grabbed me, and I actually made 0 quick movements. So this police officer is just straight up lying so he can give me a serious injury.
Included in the warrant are Legos.
And this is where it really, really, really gets unhinged. They come in with the guns drawn on the house. They fucking raid it based on a complete bogus search warrant where now the Bricks and Minifigs guys are trying to claim, oh, Ben stole the Legos. And the judge signed off on this search warrant here. So now they go and they arrest everyone in that house. And Ben in particular, they rough up. They dislocate his shoulder and claim that he was threatening to run, that he was giving them an indication he was about to flee. But the body cam betrays that lie because you can see he's not. He's just standing there, and they just wanted to fuck him up because they could. This is so ridiculous. This should be huge outrage across Utah. Like, this is your law enforcement doing this, by the way. And these are your tax dollars being used to do shit like this. Being misused by people like the Bricks and Minifigs goobers like Josh and Brandon. You should be upset. Anyone should see this and be extremely concerned and alarmed. Again, every officer that we're seeing here should 100% lose their jobs for this. It is corruption in broad daylight. This is just bare naked corruption. There are corporate ghouls that are weaponizing your local law enforcement for their own personal gain. They are using it as their own tool to turn it against you, the civilians. They're using it against Ben and his friends because they are hurting their feelings and exposing their very shady, very immoral actions based on all available evidence, and they don't like that. So now they are just completely shitting all over their rights as American citizens, the First Amendment most notably. It should concern you. If there is a level of wealth that can be accumulated by people like Josh and Brandon that can let them just tap into the police resources and use it against individuals they don't like, that should keep you up at night and have you concerned. That is a huge fucking problem, because that seems to be what's going on here based on all the evidence I'm seeing. Ben and his team had followed the law to a T. Yes, they got a little wacky with some of the ways they went about it, but there's nothing wrong with doing that. Again, that's protected. They did everything lawfully based on everything I can see here, and every step of the way, the police department was working to impede them in that journey for justice. It's fucking scary.
Yes. The police department got an official warrant to search our house for stolen Legos. I should have seen this coming. Josh did threaten me in the last video that if I go out and actually try to sue him, he's gonna come out and say that I'm the one that stole the Legos.
Okay, let's do it.
Fuck you, man. You stole them, bitch.
I stole the Legos?
Yeah, you're a fucking thief.
Dang.
Okay?
Okay.
You can shut the fuck up. That's your fucking choice.
Again, there's recorded evidence that this is also false. Josh even made that threat in the previous video. If you come after me, I'll tell them you stole the Legos, bitch. Why is Josh not in handcuffs? This is clearly fraudulent. He is wasting police resources. Why is Josh immune to it? Very odd. Isn't that strange?
I got taken to an interrogation room so they could find some reason to lock me up for good.
Then I'm Detective Nikosha.
Last time, I was able to get released on bail. But this time, they're requesting that I be held in jail a month until my court date. But there's honestly nothing for me to hide, so I went through the entire story with them to show the detective that this whole thing is just a big misunderstanding.
This is where my heart broke for Ben. So, they already got him on some bullshit before he was out on bail. They got him again now on more bullshit, extreme bullshit, and now they're looking to deny bail and hold him for a month. And Ben was under the belief that because he's done nothing wrong, this system will protect him, and that he shouldn't be afraid to tell officers the truth because the truth and the evidence is on his side. That's just not the reality. And that's not even exclusive to the Utah Police Department. One of the most important pieces of advice experts give, and this actually includes some police officers as well, is do not talk to the police without a lawyer present. Let the lawyer be the one to mediate and talk with the police for you. Because in a situation like this, the police are not there to help you. They're there to fuck you. They are looking for, in Ben's case here, an excuse to hold him for that month. And Ben, knowing that he's done nothing wrong and can prove that everything he's done is legal by the book and lawful, was under the belief that, well, I've got nothing to hide. I'll go ahead and tell them everything. So that way, they'll be on my side. But that was just never in the cards. So when he started talking to them without a lawyer there, he did unfortunately give them a little ammunition that they could use to hold him for that month. He mentioned the GoFundMe.
Video. For a family if they got all their stuff stolen. I should be risking nothing by admitting this.
Basically, the police told me, do not take this man to court, or else he will get arrested. And so I was like, just thinking, and we're like, let's do a GoFundMe, you know? And that was their solution.
But I was wrong.
We're going to book you back into the jail, okay? The creation of the GoFundMe, right? We're blasting this person all over saying, hey, he's...
So creating the GoFundMe was illegal?
When I asked the detective how creating a GoFundMe was probable cause to send me to jail, this was his response.
A lot of this stuff you may have to just get an attorney and fight it in the criminal side of court, right?
Okay, should I go back?
Yeah, go ahead and stand up. I got an officer right here that's he has cuffs for you.
Yeah, it's that stupid. So they were very interested in the GoFundMe angle. They found some way of making that a big piece of this. So they interviewed the other people that they arrested here from Ben's team, and they were pretty focused on the GoFundMe stuff. So when Ben mentioned the GoFundMe, the officer probably had a huge fucking smile on his face and a wet spot in his trousers, because now somehow they're able to use that to justify holding Ben for a month in jail. It's fucking scary. That's frightening, man.
Completely blind to what I'm even being charged for. The worst part is that the police officers took away my bail, so now I have to wait a month in jail. However, I ended up getting extremely lucky. When a judge ended up reviewing this arrest, they thought the whole thing was so stupid and ended up releasing me on bail. So now, at least I'm a free man until my court case.
Ben got extremely lucky that a judge reviewed it and came to the rational conclusion that this is absurd, it's fucking preposterous, so he did get to get out and prepare for the upcoming lawsuit and his court date and all of that. But then he was informed that there is an arrest warrant out for him. So, according to Ben, and based on everything we've seen so far, it sounds like Bricks and Minifigs has once again cooked up more lies about Ben, about how he's this big threat. They even alluded to him being like a physical threat to the Bricks and Minifigs guys throughout this video. So he's this huge threat. He's out of control. He's on the loose. So now they have an arrest warrant out for him, which was actually signed off by a judge.
The only thing the police department could tell me is that I do have a warrant, but this time the judge approved it that I will have no bail. And I am now a physical threat to Josh, the person the police are protecting. So basically, at any moment now, I could be arrested without bail for some mystery crime. There really is only one thing that I can do now.
Well, I'm in Mexico now.
It's fucking lunacy, man. People that have active stalkers that are literally a threat to their physical safety don't get this kind of treatment from the police. Actual degenerate, deranged, delusional criminals that are actually threatening the safety of innocent people don't get treated like Ben has been by the authorities. So now he has an arrest warrant out, non-bailable. So in a panic, he goes to Mexico. I mean, I can't even blame him. I genuinely can't even blame him for that. It's a complete mystery crime. Again, what they're even pursuing against him. This is so absurd. Again, this all started over Legos, but this has really revealed that Bricks and Minifigs is just a completely rotten company filled with actual maniacs, genuine menaces. These are psychopaths. They are trying to have Ben arrested, ruin his life, throw him in jail over nothing because he's trying to get an old man his extremely valuable Lego collection back that they don't even have the right to in the first place by their own admission, because according to them, they don't do consignment, even though their contracts do say they do consignment. But regardless, if they don't do consignment, then they shouldn't have the inventory. Thus, they can't be selling the inventory because it would be stolen product, but they've already sold the inventory and they haven't paid for it. They haven't given Brian and his father what they're owed, and they're not giving the Legos back, even though he keeps requesting the Legos back. They refuse. And he has gone through everything lawfully. He has done everything as the law allows and permits and actually instructs him to do. He's followed every police order to a T, and still his life is in jeopardy here at the hands of bricks and minifigs and this corrupt police department and these officers. It's fucking infuriating. This is a huge deal. Now, I don't see what the fuck was wrong with the GoFundMe. I don't see why that was an issue, and I guess it's still a mystery because they haven't really said, but I'll put a link to all of that in the description here, obviously. It is so unreal how deep this goes. Hats off to Ben and his team for continuing to fight for justice here against a corporation of this size and this level of maliciousness. Holy shit. Anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. Yeah, even more unhinged craziness in this huge Lego scandal with bricks and minifigs has just unfolded. The Utah Police Department that was responsible for a lot of the inexplicably hostile and ridiculous behavior that we talked about yesterday with part 2 from Reckless Ben's investigation, that police department has now sent forth its softest gesture to try and explain their side of things and justify a lot of what's now been put into the public eye. And this guy is so soft-spoken, it is very difficult to even hear him in the first place. This guy must have just had his fucking tonsils removed. So, I'm just giving you fair warning. It's going to be hard to hear it, but what you can hear is all the bullshit that he's driveling out. And it's so interesting because there have been numerous opportunities now for Bricks and Minifigs and now the American Fork Police Department here to actually start debunking things if there is another side to this, if everyone is being misled by Ben's videos and it's like manipulated footage and out of context to make them all look bad. It's all like this big dubious plot. If that was the case, then why hasn't Bricks and Minifigs been able to issue a response that is trustworthy? Their last response had multiple lies in it that are provably incorrect, especially in regards to the consignment, and there's now been 2 instances of the Bricks and Minifigs top brass going on live stream to try and defend and justify their actions, and it's been a fumble. That has been a fucking floundering of the ages there. They haven't been able to explain their side or debunk any of the claims here or anything. And again, their official statement was littered with lies that are easily provably wrong. So, Bricks and Minifigs hasn't been able to defend themselves with any evidence or proof, and now the American Fork Police Department comes forward and also can't do that either, telling multiple lies that are immediately provably wrong. So all of the evidence, the actual evidence being provided, is solely from Ben. That is the only place where you can actually, with your own eyes and ears, see and hear what's been going on. From Bricks and Minifigs, and now the police department, the American Fork Police Department, their defense is, trust us. You just have to take our word for it. It's all hoopla. They're manipulating and misleading you. If that's the case, then prove your side. Show us the whole thing that apparently throws everything else out of whack from Ben's side. They haven't been able to. This little rat here from Bricks and Minifigs, the CEO, like I mentioned, has even come forward on stream to try and address all of it and garner sympathy and try and explain that they're in the right and Ben's in the wrong. It's all stalking and harassment over nothing. And he's been unable to prove any of his claims. He just keeps falling back on, I've been mean and weird and harassing about it, that kind of thing. If the evidence is on Bricks and Minifigs' side and the police department side, why can't they provide it and show it? Why is their defense always just, take us at our word, when their word has meant literally nothing? Yeah, here, I haven't watched the police department's video on it yet. I'll pull it up.
My name is Cameron Paul, and I am the Chief of Police for the American Fork Police Department.
Okay. Brother, do you mind turning up the volume? Holy, it's actual ASMR. Wow. I cannot really hear him. Why is he whispering? Are his parents asleep in the next room? What is this?
I'd like to address the members of our American Fork and Cedar Hills community regarding some videos currently circulating on social media that have been presented in a way that calls into question some of the actions of our department.
And we can't have that. You're not allowed to question the actions of our department. We do nothing wrong. Why is it so fucking quiet? I can hardly hear him. I actually can barely hear him. I need to bass boost this guy. Deep fry his ass. Holy, I actually can't hear it at all. Maybe this. Let me see if that helps.
These videos are affiliated with an influencer on YouTube and other social media platforms and stem from a dispute involving Legos that originates in the state of Oregon. In this message...
I actually have to turn on subtitles. Bro, I can't hear you. Oh my god. Use your outside voice, please. Oh, wow.
Mr. Johnson reported that earlier that same day, a suspicious male had been at his residence. He stated the male was wearing a baseball cap with a UPS logo taped onto it. Mr. Johnson also reported that a suspicious package had been left at the residence. He explained that what appeared suspicious was that the shipping label did not look legitimate. The package was later determined to contain rubber ducks. Mr. Johnson reported that he believed the male was an individual named Benjamin Snyder, who, according to Johnson...
I can't believe it.
Mr. Johnson further explained that civil proceedings were occurring in Oregon and stated that he believed Snyder was sending individuals to his home to harass him.
To serve him, brother, they can only go forward if he gets served the papers, which is what he was trying to explain to the officers that were called out there numerous times, literally countless times. How else, like, he can't go himself because Josh is a bitch and has, like, formally trespassed him, so if he shows up, he goes to jail for it. But by law, through the legal process, he has to serve those papers. So, like, what's he supposed to do? Now, the rubber ducks, that's probably something totally separate. I'm sure that probably doesn't tie directly in to serving him the papers. But brother, it's not harassing him to try and serve him the legal documents. This is a legit tactic process servers use, by the way. The rubber ducks is? Let me look that up. I'm very unfamiliar with all of this, so let me see. No, like using disguises. Oh, that I know. I thought you were talking about the rubber ducks. No, I know about that. That's a very common thing. I thought you were talking about sending rubber ducks for some reason as, like, first contact.
Officer Tonga issued Adams a trespass warning at Mr. Johnson's request and instructed him not to return to Mr. Johnson's residence. At approximately the same time, Officer Richardson arrived in the area and located a dark-colored Hyundai vehicle. Richardson initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle for failing to stop before the stop line at a stop sign and failing to stop completely at that stop sign.
Does this guy then go on to say the officer was incorrect? Because we have the dash cam. He realizes this lie is immediately debunked when you look at the dash cam. They stopped at the stop sign. This is a provable lie. Surely he goes on to say that the officer was incorrect, right? Obviously he's gonna mention that, no doubt.
As you can see, we didn't even do a rolling stop. We fully stopped at the stop sign. So this is an illegal traffic stop.
That's a clip from Ben's video that just shows in broad daylight, no smoke and mirrors, no baloney. They stopped at that stop sign. Just wanted to dump that in here as a little refresher because what the spokesperson here for the police department is stating is provably false. There is a video, this is from the officer's own dash cam. So either this guy hasn't seen the evidence and is deciding to do this anyway to be clown himself, or they are knowingly lying. I'm more inclined to believe the latter because this isn't the only lie he tells. He tells multiple lies that are provably wrong based on all of the publicly available evidence.
Richardson contacted the driver, who identified himself as Tyler Shaw. A rear passenger also identified himself as Benjamin Snyder. When Officer Tonga arrived at the
Nope, nothing about it being incorrect about the not stopping at the stop sign? Nothing about that? You know your own evidence contradicts your statement, right? This is is this a crime? Are you allowed to just lie about the circumstances of this? I don't know. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a lawyer.
Contact him as part of the investigation.
There's got to be a way to turn this guy up. There's got to be. I can't even focus on what he's saying because I can hardly fucking hear it. I feel like I'm taking like a physical with the doctor right now to check my hearing. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable how soft-spoken this guy is.
To contact Mr. Johnson because, according to Snyder, their civil case could not proceed without an attempt at verbal reconciliation.
I mean, it's not just according to them, it's according to law, brother. Why are you making it sound like that's up for debate? It's literally part of the legal process. I don't know why he's trying to frame it that way.
During the interaction, Officer Fraughton indicated he believed Shaw's eyes appeared glossy and expressed concern regarding possible impairment.
You're not going to mention why they got, like, why this has happened now? Because someone put in a tip that they had heroin? Are we just glossing over that? Did I miss it? Because I can't fucking hear this guy at all? Sounds like he's talking to me from underwater? We're not going to address the fact that you have just pulled them over because someone gave you a tip that they have heroin, so now you're acting off of just like a fraudulent lie? And now you're saying, oh, his eyes looked glossy. We're not going to bring that up? Interesting, very interesting.
Officer Hawkins asked Shaw if he would be willing to participate in field sobriety testing to ensure he was safe to drive. Shaw agreed. Field sobriety tests were conducted and no signs of impairment were observed. During this same time, while Officer Hawkins was conducting his investigation, Officer Froughton used his police service dog to conduct an open-air sniff around the vehicle. Froughton's police service dog alerted to the presence of the odor of a controlled substance. Subsequently searched. No illegal substances were located inside of the vehicle or of her residence, taking photographs of the home. The female was described as wearing long, fake, curly hair. Shortly afterward, Joshua Johnson contacted police and reported he was going to shoot someone as a result of the ongoing harassment. Multiple officers immediately responded to the area. While en route, Officer Sumbot with the American Fork Police Department.
That seems like a really interesting thing just to get through pretty quickly. He kind of spit that out as if it was nothing, but to me that was kind of eye-opening. So he called the police because, once again, they have shown up to try and figure out a way to serve him these legal papers that he's avoiding like Garfield on Mondays. And now he's told the police, they're here again, and I'm going to shoot someone. Pardon? What? That's pretty alarming behavior, I'd say. From everything I've seen and from everything even the police have described, there's been nothing threatening to Josh or his family's safety or anything. They are just trying every possible option to get him to take these papers as part of the legal process that they are required to do. And now he's saying that he was going to shoot one of them for this continued attempt to make contact for getting served these papers? Is that not like not like something that's a big deal? I think it probably should be.
Mr. Johnson stated that the prior owner, Crystal Law, had
No, we already know this part. You're just going to tell them that lie.
Sent to the store to secure the franchise location and protect company assets. Mr. Johnson further explained
not company assets, by the way, since they didn't pay for it and apparently don't do consignment, so it's not theirs.
Mansell, but according to Johnson, Mansell had not been paid. Mr. Johnson stated that when he arrived at the Oregon franchise location, Mansell demanded payment from Johnson and his business partner. Johnson reported that corporate representatives advised him they would address the consignment issue directly. However, Johnson claimed that Mansell continued attempting to hold Johnson and his business partner personally responsible under the agreement. Mr. Johnson also
pretty reasonable.
There were Lego sets believed to belong to Mansell that remained at the store. According to Johnson, they offered to return those items, but Mansell refused and continued demanding compensation. Mr. Johnson alleged that Mansell had hired Benjamin Snyder to harass, stalk, vandalize the store, threaten to murder the manager.
Threaten to murder?
And forge signatures.
The forged signatures apparently ties into the rubber duck, so maybe that's true, but threaten to murder the manager of the store? What? Yeah, just like Josh believed that there was heroin in Ben's vehicle, which obviously wasn't true. Huh. What an interesting thought there. What an interesting theory. So they're saying now that they offered to return the Legos and Brian refused. That would be news to me. Because even when their fucking COO or CEO, whoever it was that went on stream to beclown himself publicly last night, even he was like, we're not giving them back. Or whatever. So it seems like they really don't want to give them back. I don't know if that option was ever on the table. Or maybe it's like in part one, where Josh was like, oh yeah, you just have to give me an apology and I'll get them right back to you. So they go through all of that, and then he never gives them back. He just keeps kicking the can down the road and still never gives them back.
Johnson then explained to Officer Sumbot several incidences from the previous days, allegedly involving Snyder and or Snyder's affiliates. Officer Sumbot informed Mr. Johnson that Snyder stated he was present with a process server to serve legal paperwork.
Is that right? It's because the Legos they offered to return were valued between $2.5 to $5K, so it was a small fraction of what they stole. Is that it? So they did offer to give him back like 2 sets from the collection. Like, all right, here, scram. Here's 2 sets back. So that's what he's referring to?
Johnson claimed the paperwork was fraudulent. Officer Sumbot again contacted Snyder, who stated they needed to physically deliver copies of the paperwork to Mr. Johnson. Officer Sumbot's report states, Snyder told me he was following the government's instructions and that Johnson keeps calling the cops on him to avoid getting in trouble for his crimes. Snyder said this is the 3rd time Johnson has called the cops because he thinks that if he keeps calling the cops on him, he can get away with it, but we are showing him that he's not going to get away with these crimes. Snyder
Fair.
allowed
That sounds good.
to take the paperwork to Mr. Johnson, which Officer Sumbot did in an attempt to help Mr. Snyder. Officer Sumbot advised Mr. Johnson that the paperwork appeared to be related to a claim and a case that originated in Oregon. Mr. Johnson stated that he had already contacted the Oregon Law Enforcement Agency with jurisdiction, which was the Kaiser Police Department, and had been told that nothing had been filed. Mr. Johnson also stated he believed this.
That's interesting, considering there's evidence that it had been filed that the officers even looked at too.
And declined to accept service.
Okay.
Sumbot contacted the Marion County Circuit Court in Oregon to verify the legitimacy of the paperwork. The court confirmed that the case was indeed legitimate, but that papers had already been served and no hearing date had yet been scheduled.
That would be big if true. Doesn't seem true though.
Yeah. So this is what you're trying to serve them with? Yes. That's required by the court that we have. I wish we could. So. Okay. You okay if I give these papers to them?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Oh, do they show this with no redactions?
Okay, we might need you to fill out some documents later then, as proof of service, if that's okay, but because whoever serves him has to fill out a proof of service and might have to fill out some court papers, but...
Nope, still redacted. Cool. So we'll go ahead and take the full department's word on it.
He does not want the paper. So
He does not want the papers?
Here's that back for you.
Okay.
He wanted you trespassed.
While officers were speaking with the involved parties, a sign was also located on the park strip across from Mr. Johnson's residence.
That's so interesting. If the actual order of events is he had already been served the papers appropriately and this was all for content, it surely would have been really easy to let us see that conversation and him prove that he had already gotten the service. But I guess we just have to trust the American Fork Police Department that they're being truthful. We know Josh is a real upstanding guy. We know he's no nonsense, straight as an arrow. So we should extend that same courtesy to the American Fork Police Department, which has already told 2 bold-faced lies in this statement already alone. Provable lies, by the way. I want to linger on that for just a minute. So the claim is that Josh declined it because he said that he had already been properly served these papers. So this was all just a content thing. Why does the officer just immediately take Josh at his word, and why can't we see that conversation if all of this is truly by the book? This doesn't debunk anything. This is still the exact same order of events that is presented in Ben's video. He declines the service. I decided to look into this, and from what I can tell, you can't even do that as just like a normal civilian. If an officer is serving you legal papers, and peppers probably, you can't just be like, I don't want it. Take it back. You still get served those papers. Like, you have to be. Like, if the officer is the one doing it, there isn't a way to just be like, I'm kind of full. My tummy. I couldn't have another bite. I shan't. Now, from what I can tell, you can physically refuse to touch them, but once the officer is there and confirms everything and is attempting to serve you these papers, it then constitutes the process moving forward. Why doesn't that count for Josh? Why is he allowed to just be like, oh, no, we're already way past that, so take that and scram. And then the process stops there for him. Why is that allowed? Like, I don't get it. I don't see why that's allowed for Josh when it doesn't appear to be allowed for, like, ordinary people.
Officers had already given Snyder earlier warnings. Snyder responded that he believed he was following court procedure. An individual commits stalking if the individual intentionally or knowingly engages in a course of conduct directed at a specific individual.
I bet my fart was more audible than this guy's entire speech so far.
Would cause a reasonable person to fear for the individual's own safety or the safety of another, or to suffer other emotional distress. Utah law defines a course of conduct as 2 or more acts directed toward a specific individual, including, but not limited to, following, monitoring, observing, photographing, surveilling, or communicating to or about an individual. It also includes approaching or confronting an individual, appearing at an individual's residence, contacting an individual's neighbors.
No, I get it. Like, you can definitely make the argument that it would be like stalking or harassment adjacent, but if the orders of the legal system are to serve these papers, and he constantly uses the police department as his own fucking hound dogs to prevent him from doing that, what else is he supposed to do? How else do you serve those papers? They're really fixated on that element as opposed to giving the solution of how he's supposed to lawfully serve these papers in the event that they are refusing the service. I'm genuinely, what else do? You get a process servicer, which is what he did, right? Wasn't that the legal processor? So, like, they did. So what's the other method? If you can't do email and you can't do phone, it has to be physical for whatever fucking reason, and they just keep saying, nuh-uh. What else, like, how else are you supposed to do it that doesn't somehow tiptoe on this line of what is stalking adjacent? Like, I get, like, the filming and stuff, yeah, you could definitely make that as a stronger case, whatever. But the guy is still just refusing it. That still seems like you should be more on the side of the person trying to deliver this lawful order from the legal system to the guy who knowingly still hasn't paid out the small claims court loss that he owes. He is still dodging that, which is a crime. So I don't know, just, what's the solution then? I'd love to hear the American Fork Police Department explain it. I'd love to know. The server does it on your behalf, which is what they tried. Even the officer in this, like, in the video, and even in their own body cam, the officer was going to be the server, but Josh said no. So he didn't serve it, and they redacted the entire conversation suspiciously. Or not suspicious, obviously, there's nothing fishy going on there. But, like, even a police officer who went to serve it didn't successfully serve it because Josh said no. So then what do? It still counts as served at that point? Not in the system, it doesn't. How would they know? How would they know if it counts as served if the guy said no? Because you have to submit it. And like Ben said, I think he's right, I have heard of this, the submitter, like the actual processor, the person that serves it, has to also fill it out to confirm that it has been served. So I don't think you can just be like, oh, it was close enough, so it counts. But you could make the case that it's overboard because of, like, he kept showing up. But again, without a whole lot of options, how else are you even going to attempt to pursue justice in a case like this?
Cause that Snyder had committed the offenses of stalking and targeted residential picketing under Utah law. Snyder was subsequently arrested and transported to the Utah County Jail.
That was his first arrest. That arrest happened right after they learned that the lawsuit and everything was legitimate. So the officer got that information, confirmed it through the official channels, and then they immediately went to arrest him, by the way.
And observed 4 individuals hanging a sign directly across from Johnson's residence. The sign appeared to be either the same sign or a replica of the sign that was referenced in case 26AF02033. Officer Richardson contacted the group and asked what they were doing. The group stated they were supporting a GoFundMe campaign for a dying man. One of the individuals, later identified as Sheldon Norcross, voluntarily showed Officer Richardson his phone to display the GoFundMe. While viewing the phone, Officer Richardson observed that Norcross was actively engaged in a FaceTime call. Officer Richardson asked Norcross who it was he was speaking with, and specifically asked whether it was Benjamin Schneider. Norcross confirmed Schneider was on the FaceTime call.
God, he's like their boogeyman over there in Utah.
Knowing the known facts and the elements of Utah's stalking statute, and taking into consideration the new actions from that day, Officer Richardson established probable cause to arrest Schneider for an additional count of stalking.
Jesus.
Specifically, Richardson believed Schneider was coordinating conduct through third parties that constituted a continued course of conduct under the statute we reviewed. Officer Richardson then decided to seize Norcross's phone, pending the approval of a search warrant, in order to preserve potential evidence and prevent the deletion or alteration of any data. According to Officer Richardson's report, when Norcross was informed that the phone was going to be seized, Norcross immediately began manipulating the device.
Oh my god, he's actually going for it. He's alting. That manipulating the device, it's all on camera, by the way. He went to lock his phone. That's the manipulation they're talking about on the device. Making it sound like he went in there with, like, a fucking magnet or something to start, like, tampering with it and erasing it like he hacked into the mainframe. Because the officer fucking freaked out. He's like, don't do it! And he's, like, reaching for his gun or something. Don't do it! You're destroying evidence! Because he locked his phone. It's all on camera, by the way. So now it is officially, they are doubling down on that, digging their heels in, saying that he was manipulating the device, implying that he was trying to hide nefarious activity and shit.
Richardson wrote in his report, Norcross then immediately opened his phone and began manipulating it, which led myself and Lieutenant Adamson to believe he was attempting to destroy evidence on his device. At that point, Officer Richardson and Lieutenant Adamson forcibly removed the phone from Norcross's grasp after what Richardson describes in his report as a very brief altercation.
Altercation? You just took his phone and that was it. That was the end of it.
Investigation. At this time, officers did not know where Schneider was located. While still on scene, Officer Richardson received information from an American Fork resident stating that several YouTubers had been renting an Airbnb property from this citizen. Officers
This is when they raid it.
Airbnb with the intent to arrest Schneider for an additional count of stalking.
So it really seems like the entire community over here, like the Mormon community here, is all over Josh's meat to like really ride or die for him. So now they're just snitching on them just having an Airbnb. That seems completely unprompted that one of the residents was like, there's some YouTubers that bought this Airbnb. Go raid them with guns, please, ASAP. That's scary. That's some freaky shit.
Upon arrival, officers developed probable cause, including information gathered from video surveillance from the Airbnb, to believe that Schneider had entered the residence and had not yet exited. Officers then prepared a search warrant affidavit requesting authorization to enter the residence to locate and arrest Schneider. During contact with the Airbnb...
By the way, they don't do this for real stalkers. They would never do this to a real stalker. For an average normal citizen, if you have a stalker that is like a threat to your actual life, they would never go this far. You would be dead in the ground before they ever even thought of acting.
The owner reported overhearing conversations about possible stolen Legos. Specifically, officers wrote in the search warrant affidavit, the homeowner also disclosed that he could hear multiple individuals inside the residence speaking about possibly stolen Lego toys they had taken.
How reliable.
Officers added a request within the search warrant affidavit seeking authorization.
We heard some like crackhead say that he thought he heard them talking about Legos they stole.
Including Lego merchandise. 4th District Judge Roger W. Griffin.
By the way, this is exactly what Josh said he would do if he pursued legal action against him, if he tried to sue him. Josh said point blank, you stole the Legos then, bitch, how about that? So you have two choices. You can shut the fuck up, or we can go this route. Ben didn't shut up, and now all of a sudden they've got a search warrant here about some stolen Legos that they got from an anonymous guy who was apparently just chit-chatting, thinking that he heard them talking about the stolen Legos they have.
Reviewed and approved the search warrant. Officers executed the warrant as a knock and announce warrant. What this means is that our officers take the time to knock on the door, to present themselves as officers, and to inform anyone inside that they have a search warrant. As they were doing this, individuals came to the door. During Snyder's detention, Lieutenant Adamson took hold of Snyder's right arm. Lieutenant Adamson later reported that he felt Snyder tense his arm, at which point Adamson moved Snyder's right arm behind his back to place him into custody. Mr. Snyder later addressed this incident in one of his YouTube videos. In the X-ray image displayed by Mr. Snyder in that video, a small L is visible in the upper right-hand corner of the X-ray. The L indicates the image is that of the left shoulder. The video shows Lieutenant Adamson handling Snyder's right arm during the arrest.
Oh, that's interesting.
Officers documented no complaints of arm or shoulder pain by Mr. Snyder during his detention, transport, or booking process at the jail. All 5 individuals were transported to the American Fork Police Department. Due to limited interview room availability, the individual...
That was just a stock image? In the video, is it just a stock image? I didn't look too hard at it. What the officer fails to address, though, is why he did that in the first place. The officer said that Ben was attempting to run, or gave him an indication that he was about to run, which is why he roughed him up there, why he grabbed him in the first place. I don't know why that slips through here with him not addressing that. Is the X-ray in the Ben video just stock? That would make sense because it's not like they're going to give him an X-ray in the pen. So that would make sense if he just grabbed the stock image. Yeah, it's even disclosed that it is just a stock image in the video. Got it. So this is him trying to dunk on it for being misleading, while ignoring the fact that he shouldn't have been grabbing Ben's arm like that in the first place because he wasn't attempting to run. It is provably wrong in the body cam. He is not uncooperative or giving any indication he's about to flee. So it shouldn't have happened to begin with. Can't hear the audio. Hey, take that up with the American Fork Police Department. File a complaint. Have them fire their audio engineer, or have them hire one, because this shit is abominable. I've done all I can for it. That's on them.
Agreed to interviews with Detective Nicosia. The contents of those interviews are documented in the Associated Police reports, which will be made available through a link accompanying this video.
You can't because they took down their website. They moved it to the Bricks and Minifigs official site, I bet.
Appeared to have been acting at the direction
They're private contractors now.
Mr. Snyder. These 3 individuals were ultimately released from the police department. Mr. Snyder was subsequently transported to the Utah County Jail, where he was booked for an additional charge of stalking. I understand that many people following this situation online have strong feelings regarding the underlying business dispute out of Oregon and allegations that individuals may have lost significant amounts of money. I recognize that people are frustrated, angry, and may feel that justice has not been served in relation to those allegations. Those concerns are understandable. I understand them and I'm empathetic to them. And nothing in the actions taken by the American Fork Police Department should be interpreted as validating, supporting, or defending anyone involved in that separate civil dispute.
How can you possibly say that with a straight face and a soft voice? At no point throughout this entire thing has a single law enforcement official from your department been anything but confrontational to Ben and his team. Despite a literal court victory, they continue to treat him as though everything he's presenting is fabricated and false. And instead, constantly at the beck and call of Josh. How can you possibly even say that, man? What a joke. And, that's a good point, The female cop that was on the scene like the first time with the like Brandon Best when he went to have like the civil discussion there, as lawfully ordered to do, she immediately regurgitated what Brandon Best was saying, instantly taking his side and supporting his account of the events. Again, the body cam betrays what you're saying, bro.
Or other conduct within our jurisdiction. We remain committed to enforcing the law fairly, objectively, and transparently.
Then get Josh's ass to court, bro. The whole thing could have been solved if he would just take the papers. Your officer couldn't even give him the papers because he has more power than your department, I guess, where he can just say no. And he still hasn't paid out the settlement. What are you talking about, man? If that's what you want, then enforce the law fairly. Get Josh on the horn. Get his bitch ass in here. Do you even think they still have any of the sets? I'm sure they have some of the Legos. And they definitely have records of the ones that are sold. So they could easily do giving back the ones they still have, because I bet they still have it. I bet they stopped selling it after a certain point because it was so contentious. So they probably still have some of it. And they could easily just pay back what they've already offloaded. So they could, they just refuse to. And the behavior of the COO or whatever on the stream from last night or whenever it was, reprehensible. The guy he's actually a worm. He's genuinely a like delusional worm. Because so far, like, there hasn't been a good defense. Bricks and Minifigs has not had any kind of real debunking. They have been provably wrong in their statements. Now the police have come forward with their account of things, and there are multiple lies that are just brazen. So there hasn't been any good defense yet. It is all on the side of Ben. And there's been ample opportunity for the American Fork Police Department, for Bricks and Minifigs to actually start debunking things and saying, no, this is what's wrong, this is what's manipulated, here's the facts to support us instead of Ben. But they haven't provided any of that. They have none of that. So I just don't see how there's even another angle they could play at. From what I saw, Lego, the actual company, is even investigating the situation now. I wouldn't put a lot of stock into that. I imagine Lego would be far more on the side of Bricks and Minifigs than they would Ben, because I believe companies view people like Ben as a disruptive actor that is more of a problem than a boon to their business. So I'm pretty confident Lego would side with Bricks and Minifigs. Why did Ben make the sign for content? How much of his actions are for content? So that's the thing I was saying, like the rubber ducks and stuff, that's not smart. The sign is a real thing, though. Because Josh would never open the door for him, and also Ben can't go near it because he's been trespassed, he'd get arrested. The sign was an attempt to get him to go out and take the sign down, so that way the legal processor could serve him the papers. But he never did that, and instead just used the police. So I do think some of it was a blend of like solely for content, like the rubber ducks to fuck with him. But the sign one, that was like a real thing. And it was on a public space, so he was well within his rights to do so. If you thought the Lego scandal was done surprising you with twists and turns, you're off your gourd, Buster. You're straight gourdless in these streets. Bricks and Minifigs is a name that sends shivers down the spine of even the devil. There is no diabolical tactic too dubious, too unethical, too filthy for them to employ. They love to play around in the pig pen, and they are some fucking dirty hogs. There is no low they won't sink to. They go lower than this note. I have just learned, well, it has just been made public, I suppose is more accurate to say, that Bricks and Minifigs has attempted to have Reckless Ben's Patreon taken down, banishing it to the Shadow Realm in an attempt to take away his main source of income. I imagine the idea is, if Ben starts running out of money, he won't be able to keep putting up a fight. That seems to be the playbook that Bricks and Minifigs likes to pull from.
Dear creator community, my name is Jack Conti, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Patreon. On May 29th, Patreon received an official takedown request filed by Bricks and Minifigs for media and accounts related to Reckless Ben and an ongoing dispute regarding a local Lego consignment issue. This is the verified complaint with exhibits. This is the request for immediate content removal pursuant to temporary restraining order. And this is the motion for the temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction.
What a disgusting, slimy, underhanded maneuver here. This is some shit that not even Umbrella Corporation was doing. They are that evil. So they have put in all of the official paperwork here to force Patreon to take down Reckless Ben's Patreon account. And this is the CEO coming forward to let the community know that this has been submitted. This is real. This isn't someone impersonating Bricks and Minifigs. This is all the vile, despicable, unholy work of an evil organization led by someone who legitimately has a twirled mustache, the most comic book character villain looking motherfucker imaginable. Ammon, I'm talking about that goober. This is them now trying to starve out Ben. They tried numerous times to have him thrown in jail over some barnacles and horseradish. That didn't work. So now they've come from the top turnbuckle here to try and instead just take away his income. I cannot fathom a world where Bricks and Minifigs as a business exists beyond this point. I just don't think it's possible, not even in a fucking fairy tale, because who would possibly feel comfortable going into bed with them from this point forward, knowing what we know now? Even just fully setting aside what I believe to be blatantly obvious, bare-naked corruption from the local Utah police department over there that Bricks and Minifigs top brass are utilizing like their own personal fucking military force, their own little hound dogs. Even setting that aside, the immutable facts are, Brian brought his father's extremely valuable Lego collection he collected over the course of his life to sell through Bricks and Minifigs here, and then everything went tits up. He didn't receive any payment for it despite them selling that collection, and they still refuse to give back the collection. So even just that right there should be a nail in the coffin of this business where customers won't feel safe, because who's to say this was some isolated incident? This is just the one everyone knows about now, but it's very possible you take your Legos to them to sell, they don't give you what you are owed for it, and then if you try and request it back or try and put up a stink about like, hey, you've got my Legos and I haven't been paid for it, well, they might just go try and ruin your life. And then even that won't be enough to satisfy the gluttonous greed of this corporation. They will then wipe their ass with your rights and try and take away your income to silence you from speaking about your experiences with them and talking about the truth of the matter behind a lot of things here based on all of the available evidence. It is unbelievable because they, I think, have completely torpedoed their company. There is no world where this business should be around after all of the dust settles on this case. It's fucking crazy. But anyway, like I said, the most recent development is they're trying to take down Reckless Ben's Patreon to take away his main source of income. And they've submitted all this paperwork. They've given it to Patreon to force their hand to take it down. But I've saved the best part for last.
So after an extensive review and investigation by Patreon's Trust and Safety team, we have in fact, unfortunately determined that Bricks and Minifigs can stuff it. We're keeping Ben's page up. And if Bricks and Minifigs doesn't like that, they can sue us. Patreon out.
It is exceptionally rare, almost unheard of, for a company of Patreon size, they are a huge company, to actually side with a creator against a massive corporation. Bricks and Minifigs is huge. And they are using all of the elbow grease they can against one guy, Ben. And they tried to bring the legal hammer of their girth here to force Patreon to take him down. And Patreon said no. Now, I haven't been the biggest fan of Patreon. I think all of you know that. But this right here from the CEO, I think is such an admirable move. Like, yeah, it's kind of easy PR at this moment because everyone rightfully is against Bricks and Minifigs. But it's extremely difficult and extremely uncommon for a company to actually put their own ass on the line to help a creator and protect a creator they believe is in the right. Because there is a chance Patreon does get sued here. They are going against the orders that have been submitted to them for this takedown. So they could be on the hook, which I find extremely admirable for them to be willing to fight with Ben to protect him against this injustice, or what appears to be injustice based on every single piece of evidence that has been provided, of which Bricks and Minifigs plus the police department have provided none. Actually, zero evidence of their own, by the way. So, I think this deserves a big round of applause here from Patreon to just say, fuck you, we're going to keep it up. yes, you submitted all this paperwork. Congratulations, it's going in the trash. And if you want to proceed further, you can sue us. That's kind of them big dogging them because Patreon does dwarf Bricks and Minifigs. So Bricks and Minifigs loves to talk about how they will drain their opponents of resources through long drawn out legal battles because they have enough money to just burn on it. So then it'll end up costing the normal civilian more than they would have ever stood to gain. Well, they can't really do that against Patreon because Patreon will actually just slap them silly. They have much more money than Bricks and Minifigs. So they probably tugging at their collar like, eek, we can't make that threat against them. That won't work. That'll fall flat. So I really do think this was not only very surprising from Patreon, but very impressive. Like I have to give it a round of applause. Big hats off to them for sticking beside one of their creators in the face of a corporate bullying and silencing attempt. So yeah, I just wanted to give you this little update. That's really about it. So yeah, help. A short bearded man has fallen into addiction in Lego City. But I don't want to give up the needle. I am glued to this Lego scandal. And today has been an action-packed day of new developments in this case. I'll start with the one everyone has now seen. The Bricks and Minifigs franchise owners, the stars of the circus that have been the subject in most of the video coverage around this case, Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson, aka Voldemort and Dr. Evil, have reached a mutual agreement with Bricks and Minifigs to part ways. They announced the permanent closure of its Salem, Oregon store, the one at the heart of this scandal. They announced this like it's fucking E3, as well as making a mention that there was a mutual agreement reached with the franchise owners of that location, Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson, due to a devastating social media campaign. So they send them out with a sad song on the world's smallest violin. They then immediately speedrun to massaging their sack and trying to put their crosshairs instead on the previous owner. They talk about how there's an investigation that's still ongoing, but their current investigation points to the real bad guys as the previous owners, which are the Gormans. They talk about gross negligence, significant evidence of gross negligence, as well as operational gaps during the transition and subsequent management of document recovery. They then provide a lot of information that they've gathered through their investigation, and some of it does have corroborating evidence that other outside parties are now talking about and providing as well. And I'll get into that in a moment, because it does seem like there was a lot of really convoluted, messy problems here, even before BB and JJ, Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson, got involved here from the top turnbuckle. What I find interesting, though, is that they are immediately going into, it's the previous owners, let's all forget about this. Yes, Brandon and Josh are gone. Okay, we can celebrate, but let's talk about the real villains. When even if Brandon and Joshua weren't immediately responsible for how sloppy everything got off rip, they are responsible for their own behavior. We have oodles of body cams, which I know about the unredacted body cams. I watched those. It definitely doesn't look good for the Bricks and Minifig side of things, but I don't believe I'm actually allowed to show anything or talk about that in depth because I don't know if it's entirely legal how they were obtained. But even outside of that, we have the evidence of Brandon and Josh's behavior to Ben on camera and the things that were being said over the phone and how aggressive and vulgar and hostile they were immediately, even upon just a request to try and get this resolved amicably. So again, even if they're not solely responsible for all of the hoopla legally with the consignment and all of that and what was coming from corporate or what was coming from franchisee, they didn't conduct themselves professionally in any way, shape, or form and only served to exacerbate issues.
But Johnson, the new owner of this franchise, also claimed that he had the right to that property. Here's the statement that he made to police, quote, "However, due to the claim that Mr. Mansell continues to call the business despite being told not to and encouraging others to do so as well, he does not want to give these items to Mr. Mansell. He added that he also doesn't feel he needs to since the store's inventory became his once he took it over. So he didn't want to give the items to Mansell because of Mansell's phone calls? And why didn't the police order him to return the sets to Mansell immediately?" I guess we'd have to talk to the DA.
I wanted to briefly dump that clip from the Legal video in here because I think that is just comical coming from a ghoul like Josh, who is just like the caricature of a Reddit telephone tough guy. He talks all big and strong, puffs out his chest over the phone. Fuck you, bitch. You stole the Legos. Let's tango. Don't tussle with the muscle. That kind of stuff. Like he's recorded melting down and crashing out multiple times throughout this whole thing. And then he's like, oh, well, he hurt my feelings. He kept calling us and that annoyed me, so I'm not giving it back. In fact, I don't even think I need to. I took over the store, which means everything in it is mine now. Which, in a surprise to absolutely no one, isn't exactly how that works. And it's something Legal goes in depth on towards the end of the video about, like, the messiness of consignment and stuff like that, and giving examples of, like, how probably don't have the ability to just not give that back. But, again, he's not the only legal analyst that has weighed in on this. There's been so many like lawyers and a ton of like law professionals that have been weighing in on this case because it's just exploded. It's massive. And what's so interesting is how there is so many differing opinions and perspectives from lawyers and experts in law across not just YouTube, but on other outlets as well. There's like no consensus on the whole thing. Some people believe it's a slam dunk case of theft or like a corporate fucking hoo-ha that, you know, they're way in the wrong, and others actually believe that it's not as clear cut as that. The one thing that seems to be agreed upon by everyone is that it is very messy, but Bricks and Minifigs didn't act optimally. They certainly weren't doing the best here, especially not the franchisees. Brandon Best and Joshua Johnson. So even if there is like some convoluted legalese that makes it a little trickier, ultimately nobody handled it perfectly, which has made it become such a nuclear bomb of drama. Now, there has been a lot of new information, like I mentioned, and a big piece of that is calling into question the actual value of the Legos from the very beginning. It has always been alleged $200K worth of Legos, and in fact, that's even what it was marketed as. But apparently that was all just, you know, hype train stuff and not representative of the actual value of the Lego collection. It was all just buzz. So through the Bricks and Minifig investigation, as well as others coming forward and going through it all, the speculation is now that it was around $100K worth of Legos, and that of the remaining Legos that hadn't been sold already, it was as low as $6,200, but that varies from source to source, because again, throughout all of this, it is still impossible to know what exactly is true and what is speculative. So like finding the truth amongst all of the sludge here is still really difficult, but now there's a call into question about like the total value of the Lego sets themselves. Also, some of them have been returned. Bricks and Minifigs is trying to make the claim that they've been trying so desperately to work with Brian for so long to get this resolved, and it breaks their heart, that kind of thing. When on camera, you can watch the CEO, Ammon, who just did an interview, by the way, that I want to show you some clips from, just outright refusing to even engage with Ben about it or even entertaining the idea of trying to get things solved, instead wanting to go scorched earth off rip, rolling up his sleeves like, okay, let's get after it then. And now all of a sudden he's, you know, the Zen master. He's fucking, you know, peace on earth. Why can't we all be friends kind of guy? Like, so he's really changed his tune now, even though on camera before all of this blew up, he was really adamant about, you know, guess we're gonna have to go, you know, have a fight about it. So now all of a sudden, Bricks and Minifigs is like, we just want to help. We want to make them whole. When all the evidence points to the contrary for the longest time. And another big piece of this is still about consignment. That has been what the huge part has been for a long time. I'll get to that in a moment, but another thing is about, like, the Gormans, because another thing that's come out is that Crystal had actually had some of Brian's father's Legos at her house, not at the store, which is pretty odd. There was also multiple bookkeeping which made things even more shady and weird. So there was already a lot of moving pieces here. Now they're also saying that Brian wasn't actually being properly compensated by the Gormans, the previous owners of the location, and that's just unacceptable. So Bricks and Minifigs is stepping up. They're the heroes, actually. We should be rallying behind Bricks and Minifigs, because look at it, look how much they're doing to try and help the little guy, even though the whole journey here has been them doing everything they can to face fucking and, like, bury this. So they have really flip-flopped on their tone behind all of this, but they are now providing information about, like, this investigation that they're doing, and others are also investigating independently of Bricks and Minifigs and finding similar things. So it has been quite a lot going on. Another thing that's been called into question is the legitimacy of Ben's claim about their victory in small claims court. That also has a lot of messiness associated with it and a lot of question marks now. So this whole thing is starting to get even more wild and wacky and just this crazy fucking web. Now, I want to show you another clip from Legal Eagle's video in regards to consignment, because like I said, that is still one of the biggest pieces here, and there is, on security camera footage, inarguably, a higher level position at Bricks and Minifigs confirming that they're taking on that consignment liability, which may not be technically binding, but it does seem like that is a big deal, that they did verbally state that that's going to happen. And Bricks and Minifigs keeps denying that they do consignment, and they always train against it. But all of the evidence points to, in their contracts, they do allow for consignment. So why are they contradicting themselves? Also, the CEO has become addicted to humiliation. He's doing his own nationwide humiliation ritual and is going on like the YouTuber shows where he is, again, contradicting some of the statements that have come forth from the company. So the whole thing is very fucking peculiar. But anyway, here's the consignment piece towards the end of Legal Eagle's video that I think is pretty important to the overall case.
But Bricks and Minifigs corporate has argued that consignments violated franchise policy or were unauthorized under the franchise agreement. So we took a look at the Bricks and Minifigs 2003 franchise agreement, which does not say that stores can't use consignment. Quote, subject to our standard specifications and approval, if we so require, you may also offer the following products and services. Consignment services. And that's just on the first page. And the franchise agreement template reiterates that on the first page, quote, additionally, franchisees may also offer consignment services. And Reckless Ben states in an update that Crystal Law provided the actual franchise agreement that she signed, which explicitly allows consignment agreements. Now, additionally, there are 4 references to consignment in these documents, and none of them are an outright prohibition. And even if Bricks and Minifigs corporate outlawed consignment agreements, that agreement only addresses the relationship between Bricks and Minifigs and the Gormans, not the ownership of the Star Wars collection.
He goes on to say that that's between the Gormans and Bricks and Minifigs in that case, not Brian. He is completely independent of that, and his property rights are independent of that. He then goes on to give you an example of what he believes the logic that would be applied here would be.
But either way, I don't think that argument automatically transforms third-party property into franchisor property. To illustrate that principle, if a franchisee violated policy by storing a friend's vehicle on business premises, the franchisor could discipline the franchisee and terminate the agreement, but absent some independent legal mechanism, the franchisor would not become the owner of that vehicle. And I think the same logic would apply here.
And to me, that's the simplest way of looking at it, and it's how most people are viewing it, myself included. If, as Bricks and Minifigs says, they don't do consignment, but in this case, the franchisee went rogue, which is what Ammon is now claiming, which I'm going to show you in a moment. If that is the case, why are they still not giving the Legos that they have back? Why has it been such a stink? Why has it been a fucking slobber knocker here, vehemently fighting against it? Now again, all the evidence seems to point to that being a liar, liar, plants for hire moment from Bricks and Minifigs, considering in the contracts that we have available for us to sink our little teeth in, they do outright say that consignment is permissible. There is no prohibitive language around that to forbid franchisees from doing consignment. Crystal provided her contract that says that consignment is possible, but as Legal says, it is also possible that maybe there was an update to that where they then did outlaw it and they signed it. That's possible, but we're just guessing. We don't know. What we do know, though, is that based on these contracts, there is nothing prohibitive about consignment with Bricks and Minifigs from these franchisees. But anyway, again, if it isn't something they do, then why have they been so against giving it back? Josh was even like, I don't feel like giving it back. He was calling us. He was hitting me up on the horn. He was ringing my telephone, and I didn't like when he did that. So I'm just not going to do it. And I don't even think I really need to, actually. So you can suck on my fucking winky. You want to suck on my wiener? How about that? How about that instead of giving you back the Legos? Like, again, if you don't do it, then you shouldn't have it there. It's not yours. You should give it back. You should have to give it back. And that's still, even after watching Legal Eagle and tons of other law experts and lawyers and everything weigh in on it, like, it still seems to be like, yeah, they don't really have true authority to seize that collection there, just because the previous owners had a consignment deal that now they don't do consignment doesn't mean the new owners get to swoop in and now it's theirs. It's still, Brian's property would be independent of whatever happened there, at least as I understand it. And with the example that Legal Eagle gives there, I think that makes a lot of sense. If a franchisee takes in a vehicle, they discipline the franchisee, say, kick dirt, that doesn't mean that the franchisor now owns that vehicle because of that. That would be a huge can of worms. That'd be a huge fucking issue, and that'd be very easy to exploit. So I just don't see a world where there's any real justification for not giving him the Legos back or anything of that.
But we know that consignment agreements can be very difficult, and so we make sure that in our operations manual, through all of our training, we train all franchisees that consignment is not part of our model. It's written into the operations manual, it's trained on, and it's very explicit. However, unfortunately, we had a franchisee go rogue and enter into a consignment agreement without our knowledge or authorization.
Stop twirling your mustache, Ammon. Holy cannoli. Jiminy Christmas, bro, stop twirling it. You actually look like a comic book bad guy. And the way he talks about the previous owners, the Gormans, he's talking about it like, Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne. She just signed a consignment agreement without our know-how, without our permission, our authorization. Holy shit. That kind of thing. And he's talking about like how they explicitly state no consignment, that kind of thing. We train them against it. That's forbidden. We spit on consignment. But again, if you look at the contract, it is in there as an option. It is not prohibitive. So I don't know where this is coming from, unless it's a newer thing, which is possible. It definitely could be a newer thing. But then why doesn't he make it more clear and more transparent? Like, yes, we did offer consignment services as an option to our franchisees, but we recognized how messy and difficult that could be, so we did stop that practice not too long ago with an updated agreement with franchise locations. And one of the stores must not have paid attention, and they did a consignment deal. That would be, if that is the case, by the way, there's nothing to even let us know whether or not he's being truthful about that being something they explicitly forbid, because again, all of the evidence seems to point to in their contracts, you can do consignment, but it's just so slimy, because he's not addressing the very clear proof that's out there of their actual contracts where consignment is thumbs up. You can do it. Here he's just saying, explicitly forbidden, no consignment, like he's the pomegranate lady. That's just, see, this is one of those things I'm talking about where a lot of what comes from bricks and minifigs is seemingly not truthful and feels misleading on purpose.
And then it appears that may not have been honored with the person that she had entered into that consignment agreement with. And then through other circumstances, we ended up retaking over that store, and in the shuffle, there appears to have been just some confusion as to how, why, and where some of this came about. And as we tried to figure that out, we started uncovering more documents, more information, and what we found was that there were 3 separate sets of records that were being kept that shows that Mr. Mansell was significantly underpaid by that former franchisee. And so we've been trying to make sure that we can properly do like a forensic accounting and make sure everything is being looked at properly so that we can work together to get that family resolution.
He's had a big change of heart, it seems, because again, on camera, he showed no interest at all in actually trying to solve this peacefully and get Brian what he was owed. But now all of a sudden he's out there acting like he's Brian's best friend, like, come home, buddy. We miss you. Bricks and Minifigs is here to help. We only want what's in your best interest. Let us make you whole. We're doing everything we can to support you because we care so much about you, Brian. Come on, Squirt. Come on, let's solve this. When previously he showed less than zero interest in doing that and was ready to put up a big old fight about it. Again, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about like the body cam stuff, but this is a very different side of Ammon here. I believe this is the PR side. I don't believe anything here is genuine at all. I think this has become such a huge issue that's bubbled over so much so now that they can't just try and bully him into silence, which is something that, again, is on camera as a method that Bricks and Minifigs likes to employ, where one of them, Kai, I already forgot how you say his name, but he even just outright said, like, yeah, it is a threat. You can perceive it as a threat because it kind of is a threat about how they will drain them legally in court, where they will be paying so much money fighting Bricks and Minifigs legally that they will lose more than they would have ever gained had they won. It is something that they've done numerous times and something they were very proud of. But now all of a sudden Ammon's out here like, yeah, let's solve this. Come on, let's get this all resolved. We're buds, bro. It's just so fake. It's so phony. And again, Ammon was just on YouTube streams, 3 nights ago now? Where it was a very different tough guy Ammon there. At least a little bit tougher than this. He wasn't the soft shell looking to really help Brian all that much. It was a much more combative version. But now he's more docile. And it's important to keep in mind that it's not like Bricks and Minifigs is like all of a sudden sunshine and rainbows. We want to just help everybody. We just got information from the CEO of Patreon that they have filed all the legal paperwork to try and force Patreon to remove Ben's Patreon account, which is his main source of income. They're trying to strip him of his main source of income to silence and bully him, which is the standard play from Bricks and Minifigs, it seems, based on all available evidence. And the CEO, Ammon, has the gall to go out there now and be like, guys, we just want to help Ben. Let us help, dude. We're just here to help, man. It was the previous owners that fucked you, not us. No, dude. Let us make you whole again. He says that so many times. And I believe that's because maybe he's in a more desperate position now because it seems like some of Bricks and Minifigs partners no longer feel comfortable doing business with them. There was a statement put out by one of their big partners here, Minifigs.me, and they don't feel comfortable working with Bricks and Minifigs, despite this being a huge blow to them on a business side. Minifigs.me, that is. It wasn't an easy decision for them to make, but this has become such a big story that now brands that have worked with Bricks and Minifigs don't feel comfortable continuing to do business with them. So I think Ammon has now been alerted to how bad all of this has gotten for them, and is now just trying to say what he believes will cause all of it to simmer down, which is, we want to make them whole, we're here to help. Josh and Brandon are gone, we've parted ways, they've sailed off into the sunset. Can you guys please just drop this? Like, it just feels like it's now all about saving face and covering their own ass in this PR battle because it's now actually affecting them in a noticeable way. When previously, before this became a huge story, Ammon showed no interest in trying to resolve this. Nobody at Bricks and Minifigs has shown interest to resolve this based on all the information that's been publicly put out there. So it just seems like it's because it's blown up so much now that they're finally acting. But that doesn't help dissuade fears of Bricks and Minifigs customers who are maybe considering working with them, where if it doesn't blow up into a huge story, you might just be fucked. Because based on everything we've seen from like the behavior of those franchisees, as well as Ammon himself, they don't seem to really care that much to try and resolve issues like privately and peacefully. It seems like they're only now springing into action to try and help Brian get what should have already been taken care of previously. So it feels like it's very tardy to the party here with them actually looking to do the right thing of making Brian Mansell whole and figuring out what exactly went on here with a real investigation. And like I said, a lot of this new information that's coming out from multiple parties does call into question a lot of things that have been put forth from like the first couple of videos from Reckless Ben with some of the claims and things like that. But I will say, in regards to like the police department stuff, I haven't really seen anything to like justify how everything's unfolded with how the police themselves have handled this whole case. That is still something that is very much in a really weird spot. But in regards to like if Ben stepped out of line legally, like within the bounds of the law, or if he did things solely for content that actually was detrimental to getting this solved, as well as some of the claims he made about the small claims court default judgment victory, things like that. All of that is what's now being thrown into a bit of disarray. I'm curious to see Ben's response to it, to give his side of things on that conversation now. But there has been a lot of new information, and no matter how you look at it, the fact of the matter is, it should have never gotten to this point. There was a very real problem with the way Bricks and Minifigs, the corporation, handled all of this, as well as the way they handled the takeover of this location, making it very sloppy and very messy with the previous owners and then the new franchisees coming in with a fucking chip on their shoulder and steam out of their ears, making it irreconcilable here, where an innocent man and his father's lifelong Lego collection got thrown to a shitstorm. So, and there was no real way of getting it solved through the proper channels, allegedly, based on everything we've seen here. And the corporation showed no signs of trying to work with him privately. They keep saying that they were insisting that Brian provide documents, but he kept dodging that. I find that claim a little hard to believe. That's he said, she said shit, of course, but I find that very difficult to imagine. Brian was just like sweating when they asked for documentation when there already is documentation that the public has access to, so Brian definitely would have as well. He probably would have submitted it if that was actually something that they wanted. And Bricks and Minifigs in their previous statement was talking about how Ben and his team didn't want to submit anything to him, but there is literal videos of them trying to submit the evidence to them and Bricks and Minifigs not being receptive to it. So I'm more inclined to believe Brian's account of things, where Bricks and Minifigs wasn't willing to work with him to resolve this through this messy takeover of that location where his Legos got all lost in translation and everything got all fucking cattywampus. Again, the fact of the matter is, an innocent man and his father's collection of Legos that he spent his whole life collecting that was very valuable got lost in a shitstorm here of a corporation that doesn't seem to care about what happened there and didn't really care to investigate that thoroughly, as well as some franchise owners that really immediately held a grudge against him. Again, according to that document, he even said he doesn't want to give them back because of the phone calls. That's some pretty goober shit. So this whole thing seems like a fucking mess, even more so now than like a week ago. So yeah, I just wanted to give you a little update on it. That's really about it. So yeah.